And yesterday on the show, just to remind the viewers that the SEC is saying that it plans to enact a law which will transfer every unpaid dividend to the Nigerian Capital Markets Development Fund. That is, after 12 years, those dividends have not been claimed. And so it expects the law to be passed as well in order to ensure that these funds are taken care of in terms of using them to develop the Nigerian capital market. But tracking all of these stories for you and bring you up to speed as we get more updates on them. And now, the importance of human capital development in any economy cannot be overemphasized for the achievement of economic growth and sustainability. Now, recently, there have been protests across Nigeria over unpaid salaries, poor working conditions of workers. Now, how much impact will this have in our ability as a country to develop our human resources optimally, prevent brain drain, and also contribute to sustainable economic growth? Mike Adeleye is a human capital development expert, and he joins me in the studio to take a look at these issues in a very challenging economic period. Good morning.
Good morning,
Mike, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. I'm sure you've been reading the papers, listening to the news, and reading the wires. What do you make of this protest that we had recently, especially by the unions, against various issues which range from unpaid salaries to some salaries have actually been slashed by some state governments? So what does this mean to you, really?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I think the economy is not being friendly, if I want to start from there. We've looked into the fall in the oil price, which is actually as a result of why the economy has actually gone down the drain to where it is at the moment. Also, I think we should also point fingers when we go into the public sector, fingers at the government of each individual state, why they couldn't pay salaries to their workers or to the civil servants of that state, because obviously, as we know, majority of the way we run government in this country is we all depend and rely from the coffers, from the central, whereby everybody goes with a basket to go ask for the national contribution from the federal government, instead of individual states to actually look inwards to provide amenities and to raise their IGR and obviously train their citizen, bring everything that you have in your state to actually bring it up economically, to actually be able to look after your citizen.
Well, it's really a sad situation, as some workers, it's alleged that they've not been paid for months. And I will remember on the show, just a few months back, the federal government actually released some monies to the state government to pay salaries. And it seems that the problem still persists.
It will, obviously. Obviously, if you don't have anything, it's like you're having two glasses of water. One is empty, one is full of water. If you keep pouring the one that is full of water into the empty one without the other one pouring back, it's going to get empty as well. So no matter how much the federal government put in or send to the state, it will get dried up again, because obviously the state are not doing anything or something much to obviously look into the problem to solve themselves. Look at Lagos State. I'm not here to appraise anyone, but it's quite obvious. Look at Lagos State. I mean, they've done everything within their capacity to actually generate enough fund to be able to look after its citizen in the state. So why can't the other state themselves look inwards to see what can we do? Should in case this falls from the federal government, how am I going to be able to look after my people? That is what we should be talking about, not relying on the federal government all the time or going for the national cake. That is not tenable.
And Lagos State is regarded as a country within a country. 17 million people is bigger than many countries in Africa and even in the West. So we are a country within a country in the country at the moment. But how does this, relate to the issue of our ability to look inwards, see how much effort we can put into tapping those untapped resources, and see how we can, develop them and ensure that they bring in revenues? Do you think we are making enough effort as state governments at the moment?
Not at the moment. I mean, we should look into skill acquisition in the first place. I mean, how many of the states have programs to actually develop like ICT programs? I mean, all I can say in majority of the states is all this empowerment, training people how to make bids, training people how to make all this little thing that can't even generate economy into the economic structure into the state. It's not feasible.
But it to go away, it to help in a way rather to perhaps employ a few hands. Don't forget, we're talking about SMEs here, and SMEs is a brain behind most developed economies around the world. So perhaps that would help in some way.
I mean, look at the percentage of that and with the economic impacts of that as well. Let's talk about agriculture. Okay, let's talk about mining, which obviously the current administration has actually been emphasizing on. We have to look into where and what we could do as a state or as a country that will economically grow the state and the country. Not all those menial things of like beads and clothing and all this sort of thing. Go into textile if you want to go into textile. Go into agriculture. Look, we have the resources, human resources in each of the states. Okay, now if we begin to look into them, train them, build them, skill acquisition, bring them up and actually pinpoint them towards this generational economic program, it would be useful to every state, but not into what we see at the moment. I mean, we should look inward. I mean, like I keep saying, every state state government should look inward and look into what you have as a resource in your state and begin to tap into it.
And I know that the labor unions in the past have engaged the government at various levels, both at the state and the federal government. We've had to shut down the economy at some point in time, all in a bid to, say that we're not happy with the way things have been done to our workers, to employees in the country. Do you think that we have enough labor-friendly policies in the country that would help stimulate growth and ensure that the human resources that we have are put to the best use?
I think that's one of my major concerns, which I've been advocating for, in many years to date. We have this NLC in place, but the policy they have is not being friendly at all. Now, I had a chance to look into some of this legislation they have in the NLC. Majority of them are archaic, dated back as 50 years on the legislation. It's not workable. I mean, you have the last administration saying, and even this current administration saying they're bringing investors into the country. It's a great thing, bringing investors to the country. But when these people comes in, what are the laws and regulations protecting the Nigerian workers? The NLC are supposed to be there as a mouthpiece, as a voice to protect Nigerian workers, but we're not seeing that at the moment. Or what we say, the NLC, for me, they're deviating from their primary function instead of becoming an influencing organization. They are becoming a political party. That's why you have all this rancor within the NLC breaking into two factions and so on and so forth. If you focus on what you're supposed to do, there's no reason why you should have that rancor within the organization itself. Now, we've heard about in the past whereby some of Nigerian workers being maltreated, ill-treated, discriminated against, in their own land and everything, and nobody is actually coming out to actually speak for them.
What role does the Ministry for Labour and Productivity play in this regard, in terms of having to defend the Nigerian worker in the light of the alleged maltreatment that has been reported? Do you think that we're making efforts as a country to address that issue?
We're not at the moment. The NLC or the Ministry of Labour comes out to speak when an issue becomes a national scandal. Okay? We have thousands of all these cases that goes under the carpet. I'm an expert in this field, and people come to me and complain to me all the time. They come to the side, get me out of this place because I'm going through this severe.
Should there be a special court to address issues like that? There should be. That's where I'm coming to. There should be a special court whereby people could ring in anonymously and say, right, come and visit this organization. This is what we're going through. These are the functions of the Nigerian Labour Congress and also the Ministry of Labour. They should look into all this. Look, I've seen a lot of Nigerian workers that has been bastardized, that has been discriminated against, that has been punished unnecessarily, been sacked, dismissed, and there's nowhere they could go to complain about. The existing courts in the country, aren't they up to the task?
You and I know, it's not cheap to go to a Nigerian court. If you don't have money, you can't go anywhere. This court should be established. It should be free, be subsidized, not even subsidized, be free to Nigerian workers. So if you have any complaint, any issue that you want to complain about your employer, about anything that's going on about your employment, then you could go there. You could ring in, you could write a letter out, or you could ask them to come and visit to actually say what actually is being done in that organization.
What is very critical now in the minds of the Nigerian worker is how to make ends meet. How do I go about making my daily living in the light of unpaid salaries? States have said that they have to slash salaries. We don't know if that has happened yet. Okay, and some are told to work for just a few days of the week, and the other days to go to the farm to work, to see how you can plow the farm and plant crops to grow and make some money. So how do all of these work out really in a time of economic challenge?
You see, this, what we're going through now in Nigeria, is not uncommon in other countries, especially in the West as well. But when we have such a situation like this, the governments are meant to intervene appropriately. I mean, you could begin to pump money into the economy for training, development, get people to acquire more skills, because as you're going toward the end of this recession period, we should have skilled people who are well trained, who's gone through some various programs, who will be able to go into and begin to contribute into the economy. The government can't just leave these people alone and just open their eyes to allow we run through all this.
All right. We hope that the government actually takes action. They are listening. We want to believe. So. And something is done to help to actually reduce the plight of the Nigerian worker. Thank you so much, Mike Adeleye, Human Capital Development, talking about the issues affecting Nigerian workers at the moment.